farmers around farm safety procedures in light of the increase in Praedial larceny. To tell us more about this is National Praedial Larceny Prevention Officer, Superintendent Oral Pascoe. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
We had a little chat before we came on, and I said, this has been going on for 40 million years. Why we can't get this right, sir?
I don't think it's something that we cannot get right, but the motivation to get it right is not there for all the stakeholders at the right time. So at some point the government might put out legislation because farmers are being affected, and once basically, you have various sectors. Once each sector is not being affected as much, they don't cry, they don't lobby as much. Yeah. And then when the legislation is out, there are other issues that comes up. There's apathy towards the criminals, or I'm just hustling, times is hard. And a lot of times there are certain things that are happening in the communities, various communities. So persons are not serious enough until it affects them in a major way that they want to lobby and push. Okay. It's not laws alone, there are other factors.
Just before Praedial larceny is stealing livestock and animals and stuff from...
Not quite.
What is it?
All right. Under the Larceny Act, Section 13, Praedial larceny, it must be a crop. So let me enlighten you.
It must be a
crop. It must be a crop. But that same Larceny Act, the other, like livestock, is covered under other parts of it. For example, larceny of cattle would also cover, well, based on the definition in the Larceny Act, cattle, keen, which is basically a female cow, goats, sheep, and small ruminants. And of course, there are various sections. If it is not covered there, simple larceny, which covers the equipment and other small crops based on the value, then you basically cover Praedial larceny. So, but Praedial larceny is just one, but we use that catchword to cover everything. Hopefully they kind of fix it in law, which I think there are processes now, to ensure that when we say Praedial larceny, it means everything to do with agriculture, produce.
Okay. Yeah, that's very important. How prevalent is it in Jamaica?
It's very prevalent. Let me give an example. I was just looking at a UNICLAC poll that was done 2014 in CARICOM, and of about 15 different victimization offenses, it was about 22%. But the issue is that, unlike robbery and other offenses and murder, of course, you see a body, persons are just not reporting. And so if you do informal polls, you'll see the numbers. So when I go there, oh, a lot of persons are being affected. Have you reported? No. I plan to. And there's a lot of excuses why. But if you do not report, it then creates another problem. It seems as if it is not
a major issue.
Thank you.
And won't get the kind of attention it deserves.
Thank you.
And family stealing from family, and some people don't want to report.
Family, relative.
And then some people don't want to report.
And then the quantity is just not enough. It's a small amount of quantity. But listen, stealing is stealing.
What happens? All right, so, well, we're going to just call it Praedial larceny.
Yeah.
What happens if I steal daily a goat and you find me with the goat?
All right, so if I...
First thing is how you know it's daily a goat.
Okay, and that is one of the issues, because a lot of persons don't keep records and they can't identify their animals. So they can tag the animals, they can put RFCI chip in the animals if they want to, and they can do other ways. This one is simple, is take your cell phone and take pictures of the animals. So you have a record, you can brand the animals and so forth.
All right, so you know it says daily a goat.
So
what you do to me?
The person can be charged for unlawful possession of property, and of course, that's one. So if we
go to jail for that?
No. Let me explain. So if dealer does not go and give a report, so we don't have a record to say that somebody, a case of larceny of cattle, larceny of goat, then we have to charge her on unlawful possession of property. Until someone comes across, then we of course migrated to that. And you don't, remember now, it has to go to the rigors of a court. So you, the person who of course lost the animal, if you came and reported, you will have to have evidence that is yours to recover it in the first place, and then you will have to come and support the case in court. So if you decide, which has happened a lot of times, you make the initial report and they can't bother because they'll take 2-3 hours, and so that is one of the problems that we're having. That's why the prosecution rate is not as high as we would wish compared to other crimes.
Okay. Do you find that the Praedial larceny is primarily I'm stealing livestock, crops, and I'm just going to sell them directly, or is it part of a larger system of organized crime in some parishes?
All right, it's a larger system of organized crime, because remember, the person who actually steals the animals is really the person who actually carry the animals to market. And that is where the organization comes in. Of course, gang see it as an easy way, because if you can steal 35 cattle in Clarendon, for example, and there's already a buyer, once you move that cattle on, that cattle probably worth, well, millions. Because say, for example, 200,000 per cow, and your times at probably about 7 million, give and take.
$200,000 per cow?
Well, based on or more. Based on or more, based on with a red pole or so forth, up to 500,000-600,000.
Whoa.
And you can then discount and say, I'm going to release all of these for 50,000 each. The person who steals it make a quick profit. They move it on to the person who takes it to market, and the person who purchases this animal get it at a great discount. So there's a chain right along there.
You mark it up and you're selling it to us, the consumer.
Yeah. It's,
is there any produce, any animal that is stolen more than anything else?
I think goats are endangered in Jamaica. For some reason, we love curry goats. So I think goats, just by an empirical study, goats and the parishes that raise goats get affected the most. So goats and cattle are the two most stolen animals. Just ask simple questions based on the news. And of course, the parishes that are affected most are the parishes that have a lot of small ruminants. So like the Clarendons, the St. Catharines, the St. Elizabeth, the Manchesters, the lot of goats. And persons literally put the goat at the roadside.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're doing some sensitization sessions.
Yes.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining
is
partnering with you on that. Tell me a little bit about what that's about.
What we're doing, we have started, so I'm assigned to the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, so we're working as a team out of the Perennial Disaster Prevention and Coordination Unit. So what we have done, we have been working with the police since last year. So all the station commanders would have invited them of the 19 geographic divisions, 5 areas with detectives and so forth. I would have gone through and done the sensitization and various laws that to refresh their memory, because obviously they'll be trained at training school, and certain issues. So we have brought in all the stakeholders. The Fisheries Act, for example, the Fisheries Act and its regulations was a recent law, and of course the Agriculture Produce Act would have covered unlawful possession of property act. The same definition about Praedial larceny and so forth would have gone through that. The Larceny Act, butchers regulations, and inspection. So a lot of these laws, we actually go through them to ensure that we bring everybody up to speed. Then after the police, we actually, the RADA as what they have done, they have broken up the interface with the farmers with what in each parish with extension officers. So we go to the extension officers and we keep these sessions, about 13 of them right across the island. We go to the parish and we discuss all these various laws, and we're trying to put the responsibilities. So it's a stakeholder approach. So it's RADA, Jamaica Agriculture Society, and of course, coming out of that now, I think the public health inspectors, we are next onto them. Hopefully we can finish them up before a certain time. And then in between those, farmer groups call us, and then we do individual face-to-face. COVID didn't allow this to happen, but now since last year, we have been opening up, we are interfacing on a one-on-one with persons.
Yeah, there's go ahead. Yeah.
No,
there's a cost to all of
the cost is absorbed by the ministry. In terms of we actually go out and some of these sensitization sessions we provide lunch and refreshment. Some of these are co-sponsored by like RADA, for example, and JS, and so that is all that is sponsored.
I mean, you said a lot in terms of farmers who are watching, and I'm saying farmers, but it's a long chain, guys. Some of you butchers too, and people who run the abattoirs need to come up to these sessions. How do they get more information?
They can email us at plpu@moa.gov.jm. I will advise email because that is permanent. We check and we respond to us. PLPU, which is Praedial Larceny Prevention Unit, basically, the definition, at moa.gov.jm.
All right. Question, finally, from me. As far as you know, anybody ever go to jail for Praedial larceny?
Matter of fact, when we look at the stats last year, 129 persons were arrested.
But them go to jail?
Yeah, there are persons that goes to jail because we're tracking these prosecutions. I don't have the numbers now, but persons actually get prosecuted. But you realize the issues along persons not turning up the Evidence Act and all of these things.
But if you do get convicted, what is the jail time as far as you? It depends on what you steal. For
Praedial larceny itself is about 7 years. Most of the crimes under the Larceny Act is 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
So and I must note that the sentencing guidelines last year was issued, and Praedial larceny and larceny of cattle are 2 of them. So there's a minimum amount. Okay. And of course, repeat offenders get more time, which makes sense.
Thanks for coming, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, National Praedial Larceny Prevention Officer, Superintendent Oral Pascoe.
After the break, the story of a young woman who is rising above abuse. Soon come.